Everybody please stand for a moment for the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence for Rosalind Carter. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Report 02, public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to advise the list of public comment. Although state law does not require us to hold a public comment period, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. The board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a debate or dialogue. Please do not expect the board to respond to your concerns or questions tonight. We take concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. Any questions from the public should be submitted to the use of the public comment form, which may be obtained online or at the desk with the district clerk. Will the proper staff member get back to you as appropriate? I want also to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to address any comments or questions about specific student or school personnel. We'd ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. A total of 30 minutes at the beginning of each board meeting is set aside to allow for public comment on agenda items only. Public comment at the beginning of the period is limited only to items on the agenda. Persons who wish to participate in a public comment period of the meeting are asked to provide their name and a specific agenda item about which they wish to speak. A sign-up sheet is located at the district clerk. Individual comments on agenda items limited to 3 minutes and of course are welcomed. If you wish to address items related to a school district that are not on tonight's agenda, another comment period is provided at the end of the meeting for that purpose. A second sign-up sheet is available for non-agenda items. In the interest of civility, in respect for different points of view, clapping, booing, or any disturbance or disruption either during the public comment period is not permitted. Are there any comments from the public at this time? Okay, seeing none. Communications and announcements received by the Board of Education. Marie?
Yes, I would just like to say over the last 2 weeks, we've had productions at both John Jay High School, My Fair Lady, which happens to be one of my favorite movies ever, and they did an amazing job. And then Romeo and Juliet this past weekend, and those students put their heart and soul into it. They did a very good job performing. So it was really great. We do have some amazing performers across our district, and we're very glad to have them. And the orchestra, I want to say the orchestra at John Jay for the musical was outstanding. I am just floored by them at all times. Last week, I attended Dutchess County School Boards Association is forming an advocacy committee, and I was able to get some information. And I just wanted to let everybody know that on December 7th, Dutchess County School Boards Associations is having a dinner. It's their first in person, I believe, in quite a while. Ms. Kellen will be able to do it at 6 p.m. And they'll be talking more about the advocacy committee if anybody else wants to go.
Yes, the program, the productions by Proscenium at John Jay of My Fair Lady and Mask and Mime at RCK of Romeo and Juliet were really as an example of the fine work that our students are doing. Although the leading actors and actresses from the past couple of years have graduated, I see they have an upcoming group of students, many of whom were freshmen and sophomores and did a fine job. Also, the Veterans Day commemorations at the high schools, as always, were very impressive, especially the respectful attention of the students on a blustery day. The math honors induction here at RCK. So many students were inducted. It was fine to see so many dedicated to mathematics. I wasn't at the last two board meetings because I was representing the school board at the annual business meeting of the New York State School Boards Association. And then at the last meeting, I was attending the Lower Hudson School Superintendent's annual meeting on behalf of the Dutchess School Boards Association. The latter meeting featured a presentation on performance-based evaluations for high school graduation. I wasn't aware of it, but a number of schools in the Rochester, Ithaca, and New York City areas have had a waiver from the state to do this instead of Regents exams for the past 21 years. And they had the school that spoke was in Manhattan, and they have outside evaluators come in and judge the students on a cumulative project, college professors, professionals in the field, and it was very impressive indeed. These innovative approaches are very timely in the light of the Board of Regents' Blue Ribbon Commission to re-examine high school graduation requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Lumia. Congratulations to all of the John Jay students involved in a variety of ways, both on stage and behind stage for both proscenium and Mask and Mime on their recent productions. Congratulations to all. Also, congratulations to the new inductees of the John Jay Math Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta. That induction was attended by Trustee Johnson, Trustee Kelland, Trustee Miggets, and myself. Congratulations to those outstanding math students. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to add my congratulations to the Mask and Mime and Proscenium groups and their advisors for the outstanding job that they did. They continue to amaze every production. I also finished out the fall sports season with attending some additional modified events, including a fantastic volleyball game between Wappingers Junior High and Van Wyck Junior High. I was unable to attend the in-district Veterans Day events, but I did have the pleasure of attending the Town of Wappinger event on Saturday with Mr. Lumia, where we got a chance to see some of our students representing both boys and girls. Scout Pack 40 lead everyone in the Pledge of Allegiance, and members of the Myers Corners Chorus sing some wonderful songs. And I also had the opportunity, along with Trustee Johnson, last Monday night to see the Ketchum boys baseball team honored by the town of Wappinger with a Hometown Heroes Award, recognizing their state championship last spring.
I wanted to say, Mr. Lumia, that thank you, Mr. Morgan, for giving your speech. It was remarkably less than Mr. Lumia's, and there was no hook needed, but it was very, very good and very funny. And I was kind of shocked, Mr. Lumia, they had food and you weren't there. And it was
Sorry.
math. I heard you might have taught
I have
before.
more pressing issue. I take care of my friend at Columbia Presbyterian. It's more important to me. But in any event, I want to congratulate all those involved in the John Jay play. The casting done by the directors, all to be commended. The performers were exceptional. I am moved by the fact that they can memorize all their respective lines. The singing and harmony during the songs are very, very enjoyable. The pit crew, as usual, there under the direction of Mr. Banta, was professional. The props and prop crews did an excellent job. Looking forward to the next production. I was not able to attend their RCK production for the first time in 16 years. But as I already said, I'm sure I'm looking forward to the future production of both John Jay and Ketchum. Although I was not able to attend the Alpha Theta induction ceremony at John Jay, I I want to congratulate all the students who were inducted into the Math Honor Society. And I want to thank Mr. Morgan for giving what I suppose is a very short speech. When I give my speeches, I try to be educational in nature. I'm sure it was also educational. His speech was but short.
If I could, I mentioned numerous mathematical concepts.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Mr. Morgan. I was going to give a very excellent speech. I prepared it for almost 2 weeks. I thought I thought Dr. Blanco was going to get something about parabolas, and of course, I was going to give an example where parabolas are used and why we study those parabolas. But in any event, I didn't have the opportunity. But in any event, thank you, Mr. Morgan, for giving an excellent speech.
Okay, John, are you finished?
That's why the meeting started late, because Mr. Lumia was delivering his speech.
As I already said, congratulations to both Conahit and Abby Kowalczyk for medaling in New York State Federation meet this past Saturday at Borden Park. I also want to thank the Wappinger Rotary for recognizing Mariah Downs from RCK, Messiah Colbert from Wappinger Junior High, Anais Franklin from Evans, and also Cassandra Chorba from RCK for being recognized Students of the Month. Each student is recognized, is given a certificate from Barnes & Nobles, a gift certificate from Longobardi, which I was hoping given to me, a certificate of recognition from Rotary, as well as from the town of and the town and village of Wappingers. I want to congratulate Dr. Bunk for being honored to receive the New York State Association for Computers and Technology and Education Award on behalf of the Wappinger Central School District. The letter from Dr. Amy Carlo wrote the following: congratulations to you and the Wappinger Central School District for fostering innovation and creativity and enhancing education through the appropriate use of technology. So once again, Dr. Bunk, congratulations. And with that, I think I'm left one board member before my comment. I apologize. It's all yours.
Thank you. I just wanted to, on behalf of this board, this goes to Trustee McFarland.
Yes.
Congratulations, Trustee McFarland, for being appointed to the vacant seat of the Dutchess County BOCES Board. And we look forward to your updates. I know you'll do a great job.
Actually,
Thank you very much. I don't think I could have done it without the support from this board. Thank you.
there was a letter. If I could find it. I got lost. No, I got it right. No, actually, I was going to mention the fact that you were appointed by both the Dutchess County BOCES. You are an asset to this particular board, and you'll definitely be an asset to their board. Also, Mr. McFarland received a letter from the American Red Cross, which I'd like to read, if possible. Dear Michael, I always get Mike. Anyway, I call you John. Just a note to relay our thanks for your wonderful thoughtfulness in the form of dining provided to our clients at the school shelter. We look at such outreach not only as a direct care and assistance to the community victims of the severe disaster, but morale lasting support for all our volunteers responding to the disaster and manning the shelter, which become necessary in many cases. We at the American Red Cross highly value all the members of the community who take their extra step to show their love and compassion for their fellow neighbors when they experience unexpected stressful events. Thank you again, Steve Brown. So thank you for what you've done for those individuals, and you are excellent human being. Thank you very much. Committee reports. First, Mr. Chair Slashar.
Yes, at our last capital meeting, Trustee Johnson, Trustee McFarland, and Board President, just some quick updates. Give me a few minutes here. We actually have a bunch of stuff. Fishkill Plains Elementary School, all work's done other than some ceiling replacements. We approved last time on a rebid for HVAC and electrical upgrades. They're substantially complete, but we still have some more work to do. John Jay High School and the district office roofs are completed, including their warranty inspections. District is just waiting on some punch list items. Don't think it should be anything significant. Let's see. both RCK and John Jay. Athletic field sound system conduits have been installed. Let's thank our in-house grounds for taking care of that job. Very, very, very time consuming and difficult digging trenches around both of the football fields. But thankfully they did a good job. And we should have the new systems delivered February, March, and then installed hopefully by the end of March. Worst case, I think spring break is the last week of March. Hopefully they'll be in. We can do some testing beginning of April, so everything should be good for any sporting activities towards the end of the year. And more importantly, outdoor graduation as we continue to move in that direction. Let's see. Oak Grove roofing project also has been completed. Warranty for that portion of the roof that we had replaced should be forthcoming at any time. The Wappingers Junior Auditorium coming along nicely. I do believe we should have the balance of the new seats in, if not by the end of this week, definitely by the end of the month, worst case scenario. We also have some bids out for the upgrades of the sound system and lighting as we continue to upgrade. As we just mentioned, we have such great plays at both of our high schools. Let's also remember we have great performances at both of our junior high schools as well. So we are upgrading the facilities there, and a couple of minor modifications going on at Van Wyck. The other thing that the committee was discussing based on a recommendation from the superintendent in conjunction with Director Bross, expanding the bus parking at Wappingers Junior, adding another 51 spots in order to relieve some congestion. We've kind of outgrown the existing depot that we have there with the buses, as well as the bus drivers parking. So we're looking to increase some space, about 50 to 51 spots. I'll keep you updated. We're waiting for some design drawings on that and see where we're going to go with regards to funding for that, either monies that we have left over, either fund balance, but we'll come up with something from that standpoint, and that should do it for capital. Municipality. That was a short meeting with our town supervisors. The main focus for that particular meeting was the developments that are going on in each of the towns where there may have some effect, obviously, with class sizes, enrollment. As I've stated in the past, we're looking at anywhere from 500 to 1,000 residential units, a mixture of apartments as well as residential homes. If you just take an average of 2 kids for all of those particular units, and then do a percentage from an elementary standpoint, we're going to have an increase over the next 3 to 5 or 8 or even to 10 years, with a large increase of elementary school elementary school students. We're going to have to look at class size, but from that standpoint, it's something that we're going to have to consider. The other thing, we have numerous economic developments still going on at the East and West Campus on Route 52 in East Fishkill. We do have some major companies that are looking to take some space. That should be a good thing in the long run, should increase the tax base, which will give the district some sizable tax revenue from the large companies. Thank you.
Thank you for those reports. Chair Morgan, audit.
Thank you, President Lumia. Earlier this evening, the audit committee met. We conducted the entrance interview for our internal risk assessment. We also agreed upon procedure. And we also made mention of the fact that the district's new claims auditor's report was delivered to the Board of Education. Thank you. Actually, present at the meeting, Trustee Johnson and Trustee Odoms as committee members, and President Lumia ex officio.
Good evening. The Curriculum Committee met on October 18th. Board members Peggy Kellen, Cheryl Miggett, Eddie Sloshower were all in attendance. Teachers from the high school English department and Director Jenny Chanella presented. Teachers discussed opportunities that our high school students have to participate in reading. Teachers spoke of increased emphasis on student choice during book clubs and independent reading. Also, teachers discussed opportunities for whole class novels, use of poems, short stories, articles, and other selected texts. The next curriculum meeting is scheduled for December 6th.
Mrs. Zip? School Council Advisory? Terry?
Sorry, there we go. The School Counseling Advisory Committee met on November 6th. It's the first meeting of the year. We had about 10 people there, 6 school counselors and 2 parents. One parent was a returning parent from last year. The second one was a new parent. We spent, and Trustee Peggy Callan was there as well. We spent most of the meeting going over the plan and reviewing the goals. As you know, the main goal for the school counseling department for the 23-24 school year is to focus on student mental health and well-being, which is a theme for the district. Much like last year with one of the parents, with the new parents this year, we spent a fair amount of time talking about the school counseling department and just kind of getting them up to speed with just how things work across the district. Usually a lot of the parents have questions just regarding to just kind of, day-to-day operations and whatnot. We did have a couple of students who have been identified. They could not attend. So we decided not really to modify the plan much, take a look at the goals. We want to have student voice. We feel it's really important. There are 3 students who've been identified. School counselor Mrs. Keating has a student from both RCK and John Jay, as well as Mrs. DiStefano at Orchardview has a student identified at OV. So we're going to come back again mid-December, bring back in the students, revisit the plan, take a look at the goals, and make sure that we have student voice as we think about how best to measure those and how best to move forward for the rest of the school year. So that meeting will happen probably mid-December. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zip. Ms. Dainty? The Wellness Committee, please.
Good evening, the Wellness. Then I went. So good evening. The Wellness Committee met on November 14th. Just last week, we had our trustees in attendance. We had Trustee Spencer, Trustee McFarland, and Trustee Johnson. We have several new members on the district level wellness committee this year, so it was quite a conversation that we were able to have. We reviewed the charter, we reviewed the policy, standards and procedures, and really started our conversation, and this committee gets homework on a regular basis, but started the conversation on what the surveys for the spring will look like, both for families and for students. So we started that conversation, and I believe our next meeting is in January. I didn't look that up before I came up here. Thank you. It is in January. It was about an hour long, and we had good conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dainty. Last but not least, policy. Chairman Kellen?
Yes. The policy committee includes John Morgan, Keith Odoms, John Lumia, Darren Lokema, and Alberto Pedro. At the September 28th and November 8th meetings, we reviewed and updated the policy changes required by new New York State laws and regulations. The changes to Title IX, purchasing authority, and timeout rooms and physical restraint are in tonight's agenda for first reading. If anybody has any comment, please send me an email. Before that, I'd like to do Dutchess County School Boards Association, which was inadvertently left off the agenda. The Dutchess, we met on October 5th with the guest speaker, New York State School Board's Area 9 Director, John Redmond, who answered questions about the resolutions at the upcoming annual business meeting, which I'll deal with when we get to the New York State School Boards Association. The November 2nd meeting featured Roberta Green, Director of the Mid-Hudson School Study Council, who spoke on continuing continuing collaborative efforts between the local colleges and school districts to recruit and train teachers and administrators. We had an advocacy meeting, which I'm glad to hear that Marie Johnson attended, since I had a conflict and could not make it, but hope to go in the future. And the December 7th dinner meeting, to which all school board members are invited, will be in person at the BOCES Conference Center at Salt Point. All school board members are invited to discuss issues that they think need to be put forth as advocacy matters. And by the way, all school board members are welcome at all the meetings of the Dutchess School Boards Association, most of which are virtual. Okay. The New York School Boards Association annual business meeting took place on October 16th, the same night as our local school board meeting here in Wappinger. So that's why I wasn't here. It started at 4 p.m. and went for almost 8 hours without stopping for a break. We considered and discussed 56 proposed resolutions. The adopted resolutions form the State Association's advocacy efforts in Albany and Washington. Some changes include rejecting the elimination of all Regents exams, removing funding for charter schools from the individual school districts and making them the responsibility of the state and federal governments, fully funding free meals for all students pre-K through 12, repealing the law requiring all school buses to be zero emission, and opposing any reductions to the requirements in history and social studies. The full report is on the district website, and if any member wishes to discuss or hear about them now, I'll be happy to speak about them. Anyone? Okay.
Thank you, Peg.
All right. Now, the convention itself. Look, I wasn't here for 2 meetings, so I have 2 policy committee meetings, 2 school boards association, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, I am being very concise. At the New York School Boards Association in Buffalo, I attended a workshop presented by the Mineola District on Long Island, where high school students plan their own individual schedules each day for meeting graduation requirements. And they have a 99% graduation rate in a district that is largely low income and English language learners. All right. Now, the convention gave Trustee Johnson and myself the opportunity to learn from other districts, professors, consultants, and vendors, and to bring back these insights to the district. Thank you.
That was concise. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for your work. 4.01 Superintendent Report, Dr. Bunk.
Dr. Bunk, before you start, I forgot to mention, we must be in the sky because we are amongst a lot of stars tonight. We have Trustee McFarland and we have our very own Dr. Bunk. He was awarded, nominated New York State Superintendent of the Year for all the work that you've done. Congratulations on behalf of the board.
Thank you very much, Trustee Odoms. Thank you.
I didn't realize there were stars.
Needless to say, I also would like to congratulate Trustee McFarland, and I would like to congratulate the entire Wappingers team. The advancements that we've made in terms of technologies in our educational system has been extremely vast, in particular over the last 5 years. So it's been a total team effort, and I'd like to thank Team Wappingers for all of their work. As we approach the Thanksgiving recess, if you haven't had an opportunity, I have posted a letter to our community, a letter of thanks from myself to our community for all of the overwhelming support that this community has provided to our staff, to our students, and to our district. In some of the most challenging times that we've ever faced. And we've gotten through this, and we've gotten through this together. We may not have always agreed on certain points of view, but we all agreed that we want to do what is best for our students. And when I say our students, that means each and every one of our students. So I want to thank our community. I also want to take an opportunity to comment on a meeting that I had at the Lower Hudson Council of School Superintendents in Westchester this past Friday. I was very, very pleased to hear Commissioner Rosa and Regent Will speak about the work of the Blue Ribbon Commission. And this is truly earth-shaking in New York State as far as education is concerned. Many of us have been advocating for years to take a look at the manners in which we evaluate students' knowledge in a particular course or their knowledge of curriculum. We've had Regents exams for years. I think the time has come, and my feeling is that the Blue Ribbon Commission, as well as the Board of Regents, understands that all students can learn, but they don't learn in the same manners. We can no longer teach to the test. We have to use project-based learning and multiple assessments of determining what our students know and where they need assistance. In addition to that, looking at different requirements, the emphasis on career and technical education is long overdue, especially in communities such as ours. We need to make sure that when our students graduate, they either go into college or they go into a career, which means if they require a certain skill or trade that is going to set them apart and make them more marketable, that is our responsibility. And if you take a look at the businesses that we have that are moving into the Wappinger School District, there will be plenty of opportunities to continue to grow and develop our business and education partnerships. We've been making tremendous inroads in that regard, and we will continue to do so. This potential change in the graduation requirements, which I do believe will happen, is truly trend-setting here in the state of New York. And I am looking forward to the multiple pathways that will be available to our students so that they can become contributing members, not only of our society, but of our community, that they'll be able to remain in our community. They'll be able to stay in our community. They'll work in our community. They'll be able to raise their families in our community. So again, it's truly earth-shattering work that has been done by the Blue Ribbon Commission, and I believe that the Commissioner and the Board of Regents will be very supportive of these necessary changes. And with that, I wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bunk. 4.2, Robert Central School District High School Academic Summary and Graduation Outcome, Dr. Carwell.
Good evening again.
I tinted it out.
So we may, based upon Dr. Bonk's comments that he just made, we may have to end up changing the format of our annual presentation, which discusses graduation rates, which are of course extremely important, but also the Regents and SAT assessment data. If we are beginning to change our focus more on alternate pathways and other avenues of success other than Regents exams, then possibly our annual presentation on high school data needs to be framed differently. So we will keep that in mind moving forward. But for tonight, we will talk about graduation rates and the annual assessments and some enrollment information. So the Wappinger Central School District has maintained above 90% graduation rate for the past 5 years. We are very excited about that work that is happening at the high school level. At all of the high schools, they have their cohort data teams, which discuss each student in each cohort, their graduation requirements. They make recommendations for enrichment, support, summer school offerings, credit recovery programs as needed to make sure the students are on track to graduate in 4 years. For the assessment data, we have been, for the past 2 years, we have had Regents exams that have been post-pandemic. Prior to the past 2 years, the last Regents exams that were given in full were in the 18-19 school year. While our Regents exams are not quite at our pre-pandemic percentage rates, we do have higher or in line percentages with New York State and the region. However, with that said, there is still much work that we are looking to do to improve some of these percentages of passing and mastery. So for example, when we are looking at algebra and algebra 2, we have percentage rates, and I'm sure it's probably difficult for many of you to read on the screen. It is extremely difficult for me, so I have to look at my paper while I'm doing this as well. So we have percentage rates in the 70s and mastery rates in the teens. For geometry, we have passing rate of 52. This is an extremely low number that we have had, and it was similar to last year. What we are doing is we are looking at our curriculum, our standards, and we are doing an item analysis to determine what it is that is allowing for such a small percentage rate of passing. It could be a number of items. Many students, many experts are stating that there is some learning loss that has occurred. Many of the students that took the geometry exam have not taken standardized tests in several years, but we are in the process of looking at our pacing guides, our curriculum. We are visiting classrooms. We're having conversations with the teachers. We are looking at instructional resources in order to conduct a root cause analysis to determine what some of those possibilities are and to increase those passing rates. With that being said, that 52 is in alignment. It's not too far off from the state average and the region average. So it's not just a Wappingers issue, it is a state issue, but still that is not sufficient for us. We need to dig deeper to find the root cause. We have, I went fast, similar to our social studies, you will see that our passing rates are higher. They are in the 80s. Our science courses, which are of course a little more technical, which are in the 70s. So we're seeing a pattern. Our humanities courses have higher percentage rates, while our math and science courses have slightly lower in the 70s. So that is something for us to look at also. Generally, the science courses and the math courses, they build off of each other, whereas the ELA, global history, and US history, those are courses that are taught in isolation of each other. So just something else to add to our wonderings and to our analyses. So this slide talks about our enrollment in our DCC courses for this school year. Many of you are aware that this is the first year that we are having our students have to pay for our Dutchess Community College courses that they took based upon a change that Dutchess Community College has made. As a result, we have seen a decline in some of our students registered to take DCC courses. With that, if you look at the AP course enrollment, some of those courses are higher. So for example, we do have a decline in DCC English courses, but we have an increase in AP English Lit. We have a decline in Dutchess Community College participation in government and economics, but we have an increase in those courses in AP. So we still have students taking higher level, college level courses, even though they might not be from Dutchess Community College. We are also offering for the first time this year, AP pre-calculus. And we have over 150 students that are participating in that higher level math class. For our advanced placement 5-year trends, we provide this information to the board each year. We do have a large number of our students that are taking AP exams. And the number of students that achieve a 3, 4, or 5, and that's the number which students could earn college credit for their AP courses, continues to increase as well. There is a breakdown of courses per high school that you could also review. There is also information per course. We offer a wide range of advanced placement courses for our students in a variety of subject and content areas. This, I'm sure none of you can see. Sorry about that it is so small on this particular screen, but I'll give you a highlight of it. So this is a slide on the SAT. In the 2022 school year, we had 427 students take the SAT. This school year, we had 368. This is lower than in past years, and that is because colleges are making it optional for students to submit their SAT scores. So students no longer are required to submit their SAT scores. They have an option to do so. So we have less students registering to take the SAT because it has not been required for the past, I was going to say 2 years, but it's been longer than that since the pandemic started. But also for your pleasure, if you want to compare the PSAT and the SAT scores with that of New York Public Schools and that of the United States, we do have higher numbers for students that are taking the PSAT. They take that in either the 10th grade or the 11th grade and or the SAT. We do have a higher mean score and a total score based upon all New York schools and schools across the United States as well. So are there any questions that any of the board members have?
Question?
Yeah, Dr. Cardwell, one thing that I would say with regard to the number of students taking the SAT, this year I know I believe both of our high schools have relatively small classes compared to previous years and even succeeding years. So if you just look at the raw numbers, that's one factor. The other thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the students are actually still taking the SAT because it's optional, they're not required. So if they do particularly well, they have the option to submit the score to a college of their choice. And if they feel like it won't enhance their application, then they don't submit those scores. I would be interested in further updates with regard to the region scores, notwithstanding Dr. Bonk's comments earlier, as it relates to math and science, and not only the root cause, but then once identified, how we address that. I certainly think that gaps or learning loss in something that's quantitatively and mathematically oriented makes a great deal of sense, and I would think that will explain a good part of it. or at least a significant part of it. But how do we address that? I think still remains a challenge, and I look forward to hearing more about that.
Right, and one of the items that I forgot to mention is that based upon New York State Education Department's recommendation not to include the Regents exam as part of a student's final grade, Wappingers has stopped doing that for the past 4 years. So we are no longer counting the Regents exam as 20% of a student's final grade. That could have an impact on students not studying as hard, just working to either pass the Regents exam, not necessarily just to reach mastery. So we're looking at that as a potential cause as well. But as of right now, we just have wonderings and hunches. We don't have any data to support those ideas.
If I could just speak to that very anecdotally, surveying the audience to make sure that none of my daughters are here, their attitude towards the Regents is of our younger two is very different than our older ones. It's like, oh, I've got a Regents tomorrow. Are you ready for it? It doesn't count for anything. Mm-hmm. And typically speaking, that's not the way that they approach their academics. So I think that is definitely a factor with regard to the Regents' performance, and that I think is also based on what I'm told, again, anecdotally, that's reinforced that this doesn't count for anything, and they're well aware of that, and that definitely impacts their attitude toward it, even if they end up with a score that reflects mastery.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Peggy.
Yeah. Would you know whether neighboring school districts count the Regents exams in their averages?
We have had these conversations at our Dutchess County meetings with the other superintendents. The majority of the districts in Dutchess County do count as 20%. However, the majority of the districts in Westchester County do not. So it really varies.
Thank you.
Cheryl.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that of the exams that you listed, that geometry is the outlier, because if memory serves me correct, that's the most problematic exam we've had. I seem to remember the 2017 Geometry Regents exam was rescored 3 times, and I think the year before it was at least twice. So that has been a problematic exam for students.
Yes.
I have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
If I look at as you all know, CUT scores determine a student's grade. CUT scores are so low that most people pass. What are we actually doing for students to get at the mastery level? I mean, it seems to me right now, CUT score 27 out of 87 points passes. And yet, at the mastery level, if you look at all them, whether Algebra 1, Algebra 2, or the other, they're so low. I mean, to me, it's terrible, in fact. What are we actually doing to address so that most students get to the mastery level as opposed to what's going on right now? What's being done?
So since we started to offer the Regents again, as I said, this is the second year that we have our Regents data. After this June, we will have the January data and the June data. So we will have 3 June's worth of data to look at. We will be able to do a comparison. We'll be able to look at the data analysis. We'll be able to compare what standards the students have mastered, what they have not mastered, because the item analyses provides us with that information. We will then be able to compare that information to our curriculum and where those standards are taught, to look to see if this is something that we have taught in our curriculum, and if so, how many times, and if not, why not? So it will allow us the opportunity to go back and review our instructional resources. Are they meeting the needs of our students? And how can we supplement in order to teach better those standards that the item analysis has indicated we're not doing so well in?
Thank you, Dr. Garber. Just a quick thing on project-based learning or project-based evaluations. I mean, that's great. I think it's great to be able to do projects. That's how you learn. as I was going to say in my speech. But it seems to me that's going to require a lot of training on the part of teachers, because most teachers are not ready, unless maybe I'm wrong, to look at project-based learning evaluations. You know, that to me requires a lot of thought, a lot of training. I think it's important to go in that direction, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy. Excuse me, Mike first.
Thank you for that information, Dr. Cordwell. Do you have any statistics on 2018 averages and master area information?
Yes, I do.
Is the master area information higher in the 2018-17 years?
For some of the exams, yes. And I can share that with you.
Yeah.
Because we have past presentations that go back to then. So I do have that information.
Yeah, because I'm just looking to find, prior to the pandemic, post-pandemic, that's all. Thank you.
Yes.
Peggy first.
Yes, what you said, Mr. Lumia, about project-based assessments. The school who spoke to us at the Lower Hudson Superintendent's Conference said that they're a grade 6 through 12 school, and they work on the children, students to develop their, to learn how to do projects and to develop their talents, and that they hire teachers who expect them to take about 3 years, even if they're experienced teachers, to be ready to do the project assessment teaching. So it is another whole process. Do you? Of course, it would be hard to judge the Regents exams with the project assessment, project-based assessments, but are you considering curriculum changes in light of these new standards, assessments?
Yes, I will respond to that after Dr. Bunk.
Okay.
Dr. Bunk.
Thank you. I'd like to opine here based on some of the
Motion to extend for 5 minutes, please.
All those in favor, 5 minutes. Unanimous. Next, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to opine, as others have, in regards to where we are as far as project-based learning and what it's going to mean for our teachers. To the contrary, our teachers are doing project-based learning. We've been doing project-based learning for years across the curriculum, K through 12. I don't think it's going to be a huge adjustment for our faculty. We've been doing professional development in those areas. We've done many projects. And at this point, Dr. Cardwell, if you could just mention some of the things we're doing K-12 in project-based learning, I greatly appreciate it, so that our community has a good idea of what we've done and what we hope to do in the future in that regard.
We have had several collaborations between the elementary, junior high school, and high schools with project-based learning. We have had students from like 2nd grade and 4th grade work with high school students on creating projects for the Maria Frere Hospital. We also have had other opportunities, such as the Winter Circle that is working on project-based learning. We also have project-based learning that's taking place in some of our junior high school English classes, as well as our science classes at the elementary level, where they are creating robots or virtual golf. So we have a lot of projects that's going on. We can actually do a future presentation on project-based learning activities, whereas it's not encompassing.
I would like to see that if the board would be willing to view that, because I'm very proud of what we've done in project-based learning.
Yeah, I can see how soon I could put something together. And whereas it does not include all of our teachers, because we do have over 800 teachers, we are working at providing professional development to all teachers on incorporating project-based learning at some level. So we are excited about the work that we have done and excited about the work that will continue.
I would also like to thank our teachers for all of their efforts and the collaboration in project-based learning. We've had professional development in that area, and that will certainly continue. And based upon the new standards that I foresee coming down from the New York State Education Department, that certainly will be much more beneficial and much more prominent as we go through the future. Thank you, Dr. Cardwell.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that before all of this went to the Blue Ribbon Commission, I was part of one of the groups that fed into the new standard, the new options, and I was part of the higher education and business category, and everyone involved at that level was solidly behind a lot of the things that are being recommended, because everyone felt that we needed more than one data point to assess whether students had truly mastered so that concepts so that they could be successful either in higher education or in their career.
Any other comments? Thank you, Dr. Carwell. 5.01, consent agenda. Does anybody want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the following consent agenda items as stated. 5.02, 5.03, 5.04, 5.05, 5.06, 5.07, 5.08, 5.09, 5.10, 5.11, and 5.12.
Motion Marie, second Peggy. All in favor? Unanimous? Dr. Bunk?
Based upon the vote of the Board of Education, it is my pleasure to introduce the recently approved principal of Sheaf Road Elementary School, Mr. William Runn. Mr. Runn, congratulations and welcome to Wappingers. Thank you. Thank you, President Lumia.
Thank you, Dr. Bunk. Best of luck. Thank you. 6.01, approval of the Revised Wellness Committee Charter.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the Wellness Committee Charter as amended.
Motion Marie, second Peggy. Questions? All in favor? Unanimous? 6.02, first reading of policies. As Ms. Kellen said, if anybody has any questions, please forward your questions to her. 7.01, board members may request additional agenda items. John, Morgan?
Just one moment, please, Mr. Lumia.
No problem.
Yes, I would like to move to amend the agenda and add an item relating to resolutions to 3 separate student matters.
Motion Marie, second. Eddie, all those in favor? Unanimous? John?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby confirms the finding of fact and penalty recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools dated October 30th, 2023 regarding student 112023A, and be it further resolved that the board president is hereby authorized to sign the board determination letter on behalf of the Board of Education, and be it further resolved that the district clerk is hereby authorized to mail the board determination letter to the student's parents.
Motion? All in favor? Unanimous? 7.04.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby upholds the decision of the Superintendent of Schools dated November 6th, 2023, which endorsed the suspension imposed by the principal dated October 21st, 2023, regarding student number 112023B, And be it further resolved that the board president is hereby authorized to sign the board determination letter on behalf of the Board of Education. And be it further resolved that the district clerk is hereby authorized to mail the board determination letter to the students' parents.
Motion. Marie, second. Peggy. All in favor? Unanimous? John?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby confirms the finding of fact and penalty recommendation of the superintendent of schools dated October 30th, 2023 regarding student 112023C, and be it further resolved that the board president is hereby authorized to sign the board determination letter on behalf of the Board of Education, and be it further resolved that the district clerk is hereby authorized to mail the board determination letter to the students' parents.
Motion, Marie, second. Mike, all in favor? Unanimous? Comments? Any comments from the public up? I'll say something. I wrote something which I can't find. Tarek, I'm sorry I mispronounced your last name. Ashnir what?
What?
You're right. Go ahead.
Good evening. The Empire Center for Public Policy is an independent, nonpartisan, nonprofit think tank based in Albany, New York. As part of their press release today, they issued a review of school boards rosters in 45 of New York's largest school districts, revealing a significant degree of union influence and political conflict of interest. 24 of the 45 districts reviewed, the teachers union backed 2/3 of the board's membership. And in 4 of those districts, every board member won with the union support. And to my surprise, Wappinger School District was one of the 4 schools where every board member won with the union support. The union is New York State United Teachers, or NYSET. School board members are expected to act in public interest, but NYSET and its local chapters exist to put their members' interest above all other public education stakeholders. In matters ranging from performance standard and professional discipline to employee compensation, New York teachers unions have taken positions directly at odds with those of students, their parents, and taxpayers. Union control of school boards has been enabled in part by New York state law requiring districts to collect both union dues and teachers' voluntary contributions to NYSET's Political Action Fund, which lets the union add $11 million annually to its war chest. NYSET's involvement in state and federal election is well documented, but the low turnout in New York State nonpartisan school board election has given it an even bigger opportunity. The negotiations and approval of union contracts are among the most consequential action of board members. Under New York State unique public sector collective bargaining laws, once a public employer, in this case the school district, agrees to give up its discretion over any term or condition of employment, it's extremely difficult to get it back. These negotiations occur behind closed doors, and members of the public rarely have a chance to see the proposed agreements before the deals are voted upon by school boards. Once ratified by the school board, a collective bargaining agreement has the force of law, often extending beyond elected terms of the school board members who voted on it. That makes the work of the school board members extremely important. And for the unions negotiating with them, it makes the election of those board members important too. The organization with the biggest financial stake in the outcome of school board elections across the entire state is New York State Union Teachers, NYSET. This article would have no significance to me if the school budget for 23-24 was not over $280 million, an 8% increase, putting Wappinger School District at more than 80% above the national average for spending per student. That's above LA, above Boston, above a lot of huge cities. I'm talking about Wappingers.
Tarek, Your time limit is up top, so will you summarize, please?
Really quick, my question to the board is, has there been any conflict of interest and how has the board dealt with it? Secondly, is there a written procedure in place, a system of checks and balances that protects student parents and taxpayers from possible conflict of interest? Have a good evening and happy Thanksgiving.
Motion to adjourn? Anybody?
One moment, President Lumia.
Sorry.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby adjourn the November 20th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. The time is 8:58.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. All in favor? Unanimous. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you.